Bordeaux is the largest wine region in France, and historically, the world's most important. Its emblematic name conjures a single image, but the region, which produces 5 times more wine than Burgundy, is made up of over 36 separately regulated appellations. The Medoc, with its famous classification and Cabernet-based wines, is better known to collectors and enthusiasts. But the right bank, although producing just 10% of Bordeaux's wine, has a longer history of grape growing. Situated on the north side of the Dordogne River near the city of Libourne, this cluster of exclusively red wine regions is typified by Saint-Emilion, Pomerol, and Fronsac. Bordeaux's winemaking history begins with the Romans, who were the first to develop vineyards in the region.
So the Romans began the growing of the grapes because they realized that the climate was perfect for this kind of fruit.
The popularity of Bordeaux's wines beyond France was sparked in the 12th century thanks to Eleanor of Aquitaine. After a brief marriage to King Louis VII of France, she married Henry II, soon to be King of England, bringing the province of Aquitaine under English rule. Bordeaux was well positioned to export wine to England, and its rulers eager to encourage trade. Exports peaked by the early 14th century, just before the Hundred Years' War. In the 1600s, the Dutch built canals through the marshes of the left bank, draining the Medoc and paving the way for its dominance as a grape-growing region in years to come. Bordeaux has a maritime climate, resulting from its proximity to the Atlantic Ocean. The region's sizable estuary and twin rivers provide further moderation. However, subtleties of characteristic weather and soil structure have encouraged vignerons to plant different varieties.
Right Bank is basically very known and famous for its capacity to give very rich and ripe Merlot, and easy to understand quite early in their life.
Cabernet Franc is the second grape of the Libournais, acting as a supporting element to most right bank wines.
Merlot would count for something like 80–85% of global blends on the right bank.
So Merlot, it will bring the softness, fruitiness, roundness. Cabernet Franc will bring all the structure, character, and strength to the wine.
Barrel aging is ubiquitous. Here, like the Medoc, the sweet aromas of new French oak are a signature of high-quality wines.
In Bordeaux, we produce tannic wines, and tannins are coming from the fruit, but also from the wood. So almost all the chateaux in Bordeaux, they will have an aging in barrels. Often the average is 12 months in barrels, and then depending on the first or second label, you can have more or less new oak.
When beginning to explore the right bank, Saint-Emilion is the logical place to start. The picturesque village is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and can boast 20 centuries of winemaking expertise.
Well, basically, I would say the center of everything is the village of Saint-Emilion, which is a medieval village, very old in history.
It started in the 7th centuries by Saint-Emilion. Saint-Emilion is a hermit.
And the vines have always been linked to the history of the village, because they understood that with these soils of limestone and clay, they could produce very, very good wines.
In the right bank, and particularly in Saint-Emilion, the soils are composed of clay, limestone, and we have also a part of sand. The limestone is going to bring a lot of minerality, tension to the wine, and freshness. Clay is going to bring to the wine some finesse, some elegance, and clay works very well with the Cabernet Franc.
Limestone-rich soils are found in the Côte, the slopes surrounding the village of Saint-Emilion. Most of the region's top chateaux, including Angelou and Ozone, are situated here. The terrace near the border of Pomerol is known as the Grave, and its gravel and clay soil more closely resemble those of the Medoc. Chateau Cheval Blanc and Figeac are among the few producers located in the Grave, and their blends are consequently higher in the Cabernet varieties.
The characteristic of Cheval Blanc is the uniqueness of the chateau is in the grape varieties, because in Saint-Emilion Pomerol, the predominant grape variety is Merlot, and Cheval Blanc have 60% of Cabernet Franc and 40% Merlot. This large proportion of Cabernet Franc gives to the wine a very distinctive style of finesse and elegance. And the nose is a lot of black fruit and just a little smoky nose, just a little spicy. I think Cheval Blanc is a Cashmere wine. And the Cashmere is a great definition for the great wine because it is elegance in a time.
The classification of Saint-Emilion is more complicated than the Medoc.
The 1855 classification of the Medoc, it's a one-shot list which has become part of history, which is not changing. So that's easy to understand because you've got first classified growth, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Here in Saint-Emilion, that's different because we wanted it to be a classification that would help people to progress and try to do also better.
The region established a self-regulating system in 1954 that revisits the classification every decade.
So the idea was every 10 years, if you want to apply, you can, because maybe you're doing better every year, and maybe at some time you can go from Saint-Emilion Grand Cru to classified growth. That was the idea, and that is still the idea when we renew it every 10 years.
Further in confusion, Saint-Emilion Grand Cru refers not to a classification, but an appellation, while a classified producer within that appellation would be known as Saint-Emilion Grand Cru Classé. In addition to the principal area of Saint-Emilion, 4 satellite appellations, Lussac, Saint-Georges, Montagne, and Puisségouin, can offer excellent value. Lalande de Pomerol extends to the west and offers another source for overlooked wines. Just to the south is Pomerol, home to the world's most sought-after Merlot. Prior to the 1950s, Pomerol was dominated by Cabernet Franc. Following a series of challenging vintages, growers transitioned to Merlot, a more reliable grape that's well suited to the clay soils of Pomerol.
So Pomerol is located on the northeast of Bordeaux. There is no classification in Pomerol. So the quality is most of the time determined by the price. Petrus is perhaps the best known chateau, but you can find very, very good wines between 10 and 20 euros.
No discussion of Pomerol is complete without mention of the Garagiste. Influenced by the success of Le Pen, these tiny chateaux are known for polished, low-yielding wines, often with a luxurious dose of new oak. In the 1990s, the wines attracted high praise and prices, but critics question whether all but the top examples have market longevity. Today, Pomerol affords drinkers a wide range, from surprising value to the world's most expensive wines. To the west of the city of Libourne, Fronsac and the smaller Canon Fronsac fly under the radar of their more famous neighbors.
Fronsac on the right bank, we are very protected by the river here. We don't have hail, we don't have huge storms like in sometimes Saint-Emilion Pomerol, and it's kind of warmer here also. But the 2 main grape varieties are Merlot and Cabernet Franc. And some chateaux in Fronsac, they have a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon, and they can also have some Malbec or Petit Verdot. In Fronsac, we don't have any classification. So that's why here in Fronsac, the wines have a very good value. For us, the most expensive bottle here is 21 euro for 09 or 10, the best vintages of Bordeaux, for example.
Outside of France, we're quick to associate Bordeaux with steak, but pairings with duck and fish are more commonplace in the region and demonstrate the flexibility of the region's wines.
I think it's very interesting to pair red wines with fish, but I have to be precise when I speak about fish. It's white flesh, such as turbot, sole, John Dory.
For me, best meats you can have with the Pomerols are the red meats like beef.
Also the game and the duck, and also it's possible to serve with a cheese.
You can drink the wines with a lot of different meals because the tannins are soft, very soft.
The popularity of the right bank has ebbed and flowed. It began as the most important region in Bordeaux, then lost its position of prominence after the 100 Years' War and the draining of the Medoc. A generation ago, Bordeaux was the undisputed king of international wine lists, but it lost favor from market neglect and a focus on sales in Asia. Now, the region is regaining global attention. Despite the coming and going of trends, one thing has remained constant. People have been making delicious wines on the north side of the Dordogne for almost 2,000 years.